Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Likes and subscribes are appreciated. Now let's get into this video. Imagine you're a famous musician. You and a fellow bandmate fell out years ago. He was your best friend. You skyrocketed into the public eye together, but now you're not on speaking terms. Sometimes you wish you were still friends, but you don't speak about it publicly. You get the feeling you're being watched constantly, which is reasonable to expect considering you're very famous. You may as well be living your life in a fishbowl. But something feels wrong, very wrong. You keep feeling like you're being watched everywhere you go. But the truth is you're famous. But something feels more wrong than usual. But it must be your imagination, really. I mean, you're part of a Holy Trinity rock band. Of course people are going to know who you are. Of course people are going to know weird things about you wouldn't expect them to dig up. But something just isn't quite right. Have you ever had your house broken into? I haven't, but I've read accounts about it. The description of coming home and knowing that someone else was in your home, touching your things, taking your things, is very eerie. And the same can be said when your social media accounts are hacked. Information about you can be taken without you even knowing. And that's what happened to both Brendan and Sarah Uri. Now imagine that you find out that for months, someone has been messaging your former best friend and bandmate, pretending to be you, rekindling the friendship that you don't have anymore. They're also stalking you. They've gotten into your accounts. They're looking through the messages between you and your wife, between you and your realtor, between you and your friend. And they're doing this to post rare photos and info about you. And it's a fan doing this, someone who's obsessed with you. It's like Ryan Ross wrote, "What a wonderful caricature of intimacy." So this is the time that Ryan Ross got catfished by a Panic at the Disco stan who was pretending to be Brendan Urie.
Hey everybody, we're here with Panic at the Disco, performing in downtown Detroit. Okay guys, can I get everybody's names really quick?
Brent.
Brendan.
Ryan. Spencer.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I can hear that in my ears. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure isn't very many of you, Panic at the Disco is a 2000s American rock band that later turned into a single-person act, still going by the name Panic at the Disco. If you're watching this, you're probably like me and really into emo music in middle school through high school, and honestly, I still am. Shocking, I know. And one of the bands that I was really into, especially in middle school, was Panic at the Disco. But I was really only familiar with Brendan Urie's discography, which is the albums Vices and Virtues up until their most recent album. I discovered Panic at the Disco through a friend I made in middle school who showed me their music, and I instantly fell in love. I think the first album I listened to was Death of a Bachelor because it had just come out when I was in like 7th grade. So it was very appealing to me and very fun. This was their first album that a lot of people would consider to be a pop album. Although looking back at interviews and stuff, I've seen Ryan and Brendan both describe Panic at the Disco as a pop band, and they considered themselves to be a pop group making pop music. It was just not as mainstream friendly, although it became very mainstream. So they originally formed in 2004, which is the year I was born. Sour Yogurt Girl here on YouTube has a very good video about the rise and fall of Panic at the Disco as a band. Their history is way too complicated for me to get into and describe here. Their fallout. What is this, a Fall Out Boy video? I thought this was a video on Panic at the Disco, not Fall Out Boy. What is this? What is this, Fall Out Boy? What is Fall Out Boy? The video is really long, but I recommend watching it if you're interested in that. But basically, the two most well-known members were Ryan Ross, who is the lyricist and sometimes singer, and then and also bassist, and then Brendan Urie, who is the current frontman, actually only member, everyone left, who is the current only member and has been since Death of a Bachelor. You may also know him from a song on the SpongeBob musical, a song on The Greatest Showman, and singing the DuckTales theme song on YouTube. Ryan Ross has basically dipped off of the face of the world since like 2018, although it was either this year or last year, I can't remember, he did perform a show with Dallin Weeks, which is actually kind of a huge deal because Dallin Weeks was a member of Panic at the Disco after everyone left, and Dallin worked with Brendon Urie and has several allegations against him of workplace misconduct. So him performing with Ryan Ross, who's another member who left because Brendon Urie is allegedly very difficult to work with, it's a whole thing. It's funny. Well, it's not funny that they were abused in the workplace, obviously, but it is allegedly. But it's funny for them to team up and perform a show together in Vegas, which is where Brendon usually does his shows because he lives there. So Panic at the Disco formed in Las Vegas in 2005. They were really inspired by bands like Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, and My Chemical Romance. So when Fall Out Boy picked them up, it really skyrocketed them to stardom. They're all very talented musicians, singers, and songwriters, but they were all like 17 to 18 at the time, and just went from being like random guys. Like, I'm gonna put some pictures on screen. They're just random little boys, basically. I know 17 is not like super young, but that's young to be famous. That is a teenage boy.
So we play like the classic games, just like
Mega
Mario,
Man.
Mario All Stars,
Diddy Kong like every day.
Yeah, so we do play all those Nintendo games. Yeah.
That was the best comment ever.
Like 17, 18, 19, that's a very young age for everyone to know who you are and thousands of people to be obsessed with you. Like, that's gotta be crazy. Just one day you're like a normal guy, and then the next day so many people know who you are and want to be you or want to be with you. And they had a very intense fandom and still do. There's people who try to track down Ryan Ross even though he's made it very clear that he wants to stay in hiding. And one of those stalkers is who we will be talking about today. So this is the time that Ryan Ross got catfished by a Panic at the Disco stan who was pretending to be Brendon Urie. Now that I've gotten out of the way who Brendon Urie and Ryan Ross are, there's a couple of other names we will be mentioning. One is Sarah Urie. Sarah Urie is the current wife of Brendon. Brendon Urie and Sarah Urie have been married for a while now and even have a child together. She is who the song Sarah Smiles is written about. Shane Morris is Ryan Ross's former manager, and he is also a controversial figure in the fandom. When I was doing research on him, trying to figure out like if he was reliable or not, there were a lot of people in the fandom saying that he was lying about members of Panic at the Disco in interviews and stuff, though I couldn't find any of these interviews. Basically saying that they abused drugs and also that they weren't great people, which, pretending that the fact that members of Panic at the Disco have well-documented cocaine problems is a lie is very funny to me. It's like you literally cannot deny their drug use. And that's not me like trying to condemn them as being bad people. I'm not judging or anything. They were very young when they got famous, and they were doing cocaine before they were old enough to drink. So I'm not going to judge them for that. Like, they all seem to be doing pretty well now. But pretending that that's like a lie and slander about them is wild, because that's just the truth. They're a rock band. It's well documented that they were doing cocaine and other stuff. Pretending that any member of Panic at the Disco, especially Brendon Urie, has never done anything wrong in his life is crazy. I can't play the videos because I don't want this video to get demonetized, but there are videos of him either lip-syncing along to songs that have the N-word in them, and like lip-syncing the N-word, or just straight up saying the N-word, that he posted himself on Vine back in the day. This isn't leaked videos. These are videos he took and decided to post, which is crazy to me. Because it's already weird enough, like, it's bad enough to be saying it and using it around your friends, but to think, I'm gonna post a video of this for everyone to see, is not good, not good. Like, that means he's not just saying it when the camera's rolling. There's no way that he's like, oh, the camera's on me. Let me say this word real quick and only hit then. That means that's a part of his regular vocabulary. Hey man, let's put that clip of you saying the N-word. Oh no, don't worry, I only say it on video. And obviously, no white person should be saying the N-word liberally or ever really. But especially not Mr. Mormon over here. Like, if there is a single white guy in the world that is allowed to use that slur, it's not him. I mean, look at him. Look at him. Look at this guy. Get low this guy. And also pretending that every member of Panic at the Disco is like a small little guy that must be protected is also crazy, which that might have been true when the band first started out. But if you Google Brendon Urie and then Panic at the Disco breakup, you will see that it was not because everyone was just was tired of being in the band. It's not what it was. But Brendon Urie was allegedly very difficult to work with, and there were several workplace incidents between him and Dallin Weeks. Dallin Weeks has accused him of shooting him with an airsoft gun, which might seem like a fun prank, but if your boss came up to you at work and shot you in the arm with an airsoft gun, that would be crazy. So that's not normal. That's not normal at all. Let me get this out of the way. This is all alleged, by the way. Everything I'm saying in this video is alleged, even though I personally believe a lot of it to be true. I'm not saying you should, or that Brendon Urie or Sarah Urie or Ryan Ross or Chelsea Lynn or Shane Morris's legal team should take what I'm saying to mean that it is true. This is all alleged. Please don't hurt me. So if you're a Panic at the Disco fan watching this and anything in this seems inaccurate to you or makes you mad, please just politely let me know and then I will fact check it. And don't call me a fake fan or anything, because I'm really not. Okay, another important figure in this whole story is Chelsea Lynn. Chelsea Lynn is a member of the Panic at the Disco fandom. I don't know if she's currently active today, but she used to run the YouTube and Instagram pages called Brendon Urie Vines, and she also is the person who allegedly catfished Ryan Ross pretending to be Brendon Urie. Another important person in this story is Tumblr user Dallin Smiles, aka Hannah Bear. Hannah is, I'm going to refer to her as her name and not Dallin Smiles so that we don't get this confused with the real Dallin Weeks. So Hannah is a Panic at the Disco fan who befriended Chelsea Lynn in order to get her to admit to stalking and then exposed her to Shane Morris. So just a rundown. Brendon Urie is married to Sarah Urie. Brendon Urie and Ryan Ross were original members of the band Panic at the Disco and are no longer friends or on speaking terms. Shane Morris is Ryan Ross's former manager. Chelsea Lynn stalked Brendon Urie, Ryan Ross, and Sarah Urie. And Dallin Smiles, aka Hannah Bear, is a Tumblr user who got this information from Chelsea Lynn. This story takes place mainly in 2013, which is when the album Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die came out. Part 2. Give me envy, give me malice, give me your attention. It's 2013. You're a teenager looking through hashtag Panic at the Disco on Tumblr. Then you stumble upon a text post reading.
I'd like to apologize to Brendon Urie for deliberately impersonating him to his friends, fans, and affiliates. I'd like to apologize for Ryan Ross for impersonating a longtime friend and convincing him of consolation with said friend, obtaining information from him about events involving his life, music, and past. Information was shared with a few people online regarding the situation of Ryan's friendship with Brendon Urie. I would like to apologize to Sarah Urie for impersonating her and her husband and taking up her time regarding the situations involving me. I'd like to apologize to Hannah Brown, Ronnie Morgan, and any other fans I've spoken to as Brendon or about the situations involving Brendon, family members, or Ryan Ross. I'd like to apologize to Shane Morris for involving him in this situation and that the situation had to turn out like this. I would also like to thank Shane Morris for not taking any legal action as long as I am never to contact Ryan Ross or any of the other band members again. I'd like to apologize to the fan base for making a complete falsification of what a true fan really is. I'm also aware that I am in need of therapy and medication to continue my life and move on in a healthy manner. I'm sorry for lying to all of them about where I obtained certain information and where I obtained private photos. All private photos and information have been removed from my computer, all accounts have been deleted, and all phone numbers or addresses have been removed as well. I severely hope there is never anything like this in the fandom again, and that it continues on healthier and stronger without fabrication and drama. I am aware that Shane Morris has taken my contact information and will use it in regards of me ever contacting his artist again. I am aware that what I did was wrong, immoral, obsessive, compulsive, and unhealthy. I'm also aware that anyone I have wronged or convinced of my personification as Brendan Urie can take legal action against me, though I severely hope they do not.
Go.
Shane has given me a list of therapists in my city so I can choose and speak to them. Before Shane gave me the link to said therapist, I was already looking into admitting myself into a mental ward for 2 weeks. I will be keeping Shane posted on my situation regarding therapy and moving on with my life without my monomania, depression, and personality disorders. I am fully aware now that what I've done is wrong, and everything that I obtained was illegal, private, and immoral. This experience has made me want to be a better person, a person that doesn't keep up a facade because they don't like who they really are. I've learned that people aren't just toys you can take out of the box and play with and put back in. They are people's feelings, lives, and goals. I'm sorry for mistreating every person I've spoken to. I'm looking forward to changing my future in the best way possible. In a way, this was a good thing for me. I finally got the karma I deserved and probably needed. I'm sorry for being a huge waste of everyone's time. I will get better. I want to. CK.
On December 18th, 1980, John Lennon was shot and killed in front of Yoko Ono and the son they had together. In the years following, she was also stalked by other people trying to get a hold of info on her and John. Not only did she watch her husband die in front of her at the hands of a fan, but she was hounded by fans and the press for years afterwards. Now, I'm not saying that Chelsea would have killed any member of Panic at the Disco, but years after all this happened, she did meet Brendan and posted photos with him on her fan page, which is so eerie. He hugged this woman and posed for photos with her, not knowing that she was the same girl who stalked him for years, and that is terrifying. Not only this, but in 2018, years after this incident happened, his wife Sarah Urie was still following Chelsea Lynn on her fan page. There's evidence to suggest that she knew who it was because she allegedly posted online saying that the fandom should forgive Chelsea and move on because she made mistakes in her youth. But some believe that that's fabricated and that she simply thought it was a large fan page and did not realize that it was the stalker. So basically what this post is telling us is that this fan had the contact information and addresses belonging to Brendan and Sarah Urie as well as Ryan Ross. She says she's deleted any personal photos and addresses from her computer. I cannot find out how old she was at this time. Some people are saying she's a minor. I'm led to believe that because Shane Morris did not take strong actions against her, instead just sending her a list of therapists in her area and basically saying if you don't go to therapy, I'll expose you for this, which some may consider blackmail, but I think he just didn't want to sue a child. And was like, hey, if you go to therapy, we won't be as scared of you and we won't have to take legal action against you. Although being like, hey, send me information regarding your therapy appointments is weird. You're not a court-appointed judge. You're not her parole officer. You are a manager for a musician that this woman harassed. It might be best for her that she doesn't have a criminal record, but I think it might be in everyone's interest that she does, actually. If they had put a restraining order against her, I think that would have been better. Because up until 2018, she was still in the fandom operating under the username Brendan Urie Vines and running a fan page, which she posted photos taken by his renovator, which is weird and creepy. And also, she met him and she saw him perform on Broadway. She should not be an idiot audience that he is ever in. That's crazy. She should never be within like 30 feet of Brendan or Urie or Ryan Ross or Sarah Urie for any reason. I know they all thought they were probably taking the high road by being like, oh, you're young, you'll get past it. She said she recently graduated college and that it was 8 to 5 years in the past. So I'm guessing it was 5 years when she got found out and 8 years when she started. So what is 24 minus 5? So she would have been 18 or 19 when she got caught, which is, some people say she was really young, she didn't know what she was doing. It's concerning that someone that young would have these impulses. Most teenagers, even huge fans, even teenagers in big fandoms, do not stalk the person they're a fan of. They don't message them, convincing them that they are a longtime best friend that they have not spoken to in years. That's evil and sadistic and cruel. Like, I don't know how she thought it was anything but. You're getting personal information about him and posting it. And you're pretending to, like, can you imagine if someone messaged you, pretending to be someone you once really cared about, that you had a big falling out with, and saying that they had changed, they wanted to be your friend again, and then you found out it's just some random person? That's crazy. If this girl does have any active social media accounts, please do not contact her or message her or do anything to harass her. I don't think she deserves that. And for legal reasons, you shouldn't. She might have changed, moved past this, and never done anything like it again. But she did have a fan blog into 2018. A fan blog and a fan Instagram and a fan YouTube account. Which, even if she was still wanted to listen to music, which, that's weird, you tormented these people. You don't get to enjoy their stuff, in my opinion. If you still want to be a fan of Brendan and Ryan, which she was more of a fan of Brendan, but if you still want to be a fan of these people, don't have pages dedicated to it. You shouldn't run a social media account dedicated to them. Having a social media account dedicated to a band you really like is not creepy, but doing it to a band that you stalked for years is creepy, whether you like to admit it or not. That shows me that you haven't changed. Just because you're not messaging them directly to torment them, you're not ashamed. You should have left the fandom entirely. You should have left the internet to the best of your ability. You should have just been a normal person. If you're on social media, it should have just been like a Facebook page where you talk to your friends or like something like that. Create something of your own. Everyone involved says that they forgive her, which it's not up to me to forgive her because she didn't hurt me. It's not up to the fandom to forgive her because she didn't hurt the fandom. It's up to them, and they have forgiven her, which I think is good because it's them saying, I'm not going to let this affect me and keep me up at night. But just because you forgive someone doesn't mean we have to forget everything that they've done. Like, it is I'm not just saying this because I'm a fan of Panic at the Disco, but no one should be expected to just go, oh, you're good, to someone who stalked them. That's not normal. I've seen some people in the fandom really mad at Sarah Urie specifically for saying publicly that they need to forgive her and move on. Because they're like, how could you stand for someone doing something this bad to your husband and forgive them and say that we should forgive them? First of all, this situation did not just affect Brendan Urie. This also affected Sarah. Sarah has every right to forgive her. She's one of the people who was hurt by this. She has every right to say that she forgives her and the rest of the fandom should too. And saying that she's a bad spouse because of this is victim blaming, because she's a victim in it too. Brendon Urie is not the only person who's affected by this. Honestly, he was probably affected the less compared to Ryan, who was like psychologically tortured basically. Sarah had her information stolen too. Sarah got her phone number stolen too. Their address was stolen too. If someone had done something that hurt Brendon, it would have hurt her too. So this phantom reaction of, oh, she's an evil wife and she doesn't deserve to be married to him is crazy, because they probably agree on this and they just don't want to publicly hate on someone who made mistakes. I'm not going to use the term. It's someone who did a horrible thing when they were a child. I'm not the person I was 5 years ago or 8 years ago or 2 years ago, but I wasn't doing all this 5 years ago. Alright guys, thanks for watching, I appreciate it. Stay tuned for upcoming videos, please. This is my first video about Panic at the Disco, but I plan on putting out more videos similar to this in the future. If you would like to go back and watch my other videos, that'd be much appreciated. I kind of just do fun little videos and whatever I want. Have a good day.